everybody. All right? That requires a response. It's so interesting. I was, when I got here, things have been a bit scattered. I was looking at all the people that I'm on this paper with, which is crazy because I don't know if I ever would have imagined myself on a piece of paper with these particular faces. I think Miss Bloom, do people call her Judy? Because that seems inappropriate. Miss Bloom, who, you know, arguably is the matriarch of the work that we do, or the work that I do in David and the great Jacqueline. Then you have David, right? A man who has dedicated his career and his life to pushing a line to hopefully eliminate the margin, right? And I think there's no way you can be in this particular category and not sort of pay your tribute to David Levitan. And then Celeste Ng, who I'm really, really glad I'm on the list with because her first novel, Everything I Never Told You, I've stolen from so much, and I just feel so grateful to see her here. Jacqueline Woodson, who most people know is like a big sister to me, and who made space at the table for me to stand here today, and who I'll always be grateful for. And of course, Jesmyn Ward, who I've said on record and in public over and over and over again, I do believe is the greatest writer of the 21st century, and I will stand on that over and over and over again. I have to tell you all really quickly that when I had the position of the spokesperson, by the way, I'm always going to be your spokesperson, but when I had the position of the spokesperson, one of the most interesting things was, you go into bookstores, I would just kind of be out and about because I was doing all these school visits and all this stuff, and so wherever I was, I would say, hey, pop me through the bookstore so I can see what's happening and say hello, and just show my face. And so there was a bookstore in Rhode Island, whose name I won't say, but they're in a wonderful bookstore, and you know why I won't say their name in a moment. But I went to the bookstore, and I was with some friends. I was on a 2-week residency doing some work, and my buddy was like, hey, I need to get a book for my kid. Can we go to the bookstore and buy one of your books so I can take it home to my daughter? I said, yes, no problem. So we go to the bookstore. They don't have any of my books. No sweat, right? Like, that's not it happens, it's not a big deal. And so I go to the register, and I say, hey, can you please order a copy? I think it was Ghost or something like that. Can you order a copy of Ghost? And they say, yes. And who's the book by? I say, well, the book is by Jason Reynolds. And they say, okay, cool. They look it up, and they say, okay, now what's your name so that I can tag it, right? And I say, my name is Jason Reynolds. And then they say, oh, the spokesperson for it. And I'm like, yeah, but no, it's all good. Just, I gotta go get the book for me, you know what I mean? I come back 2 days later when the book is in the store, and there's a table. There's a Jason Reynolds table with all of my books, like a whole thing, and so you're gonna get after this spokesperson, do it for that, right? I have to say, and I won't be long, but I just really quickly want to say that the indie bookstore world is, the way I look at it all is that you all are the brick house that can never be blown down, no matter how strong the winds may get. And in that house, as the great Alice Walker has said recently, in that house are our wounds and our medicines. Like, everything is there, right? It's a space for all of us to sort of come and be on one accord, whether we like books or not, whether we're interested or not, like your community spaces, right? We serve as community spaces, as hubs for the neighborhood, to be a meeting ground for people who may not normally run into one another, right? Depending upon the category you're shopping in, imagine all of the crossing that happens just within the 4 walls of a bookstore. It's actually, it's a really incredible thing. And like with all things, I believe that we can be better. I feel really fortunate in my career because of you and the work that you've done, but I know for a fact I can be better. I can be a better writer. I can be a better person, right? These are things that I'm constantly thinking about. My editor reminds me of this, right? This isn't do better, right? My agents and my friends, many of my friends, like the great Alan Gratz and Tiffany Jackson, Dick Stone, people in my life who are saying we can do better, right? And so what I would like to leave you all with is a charge, because we always have to be charging ourselves. My first job as an adult was in an independent bookstore, and I don't talk about it very often. My first job as an adult was at an independent bookstore called Caribou Books in the Washington, D.C. area. It was owned by two guys. One guy was a scholar, and the other guy was a street dude. And they ran the bookstore like that. and it was my first real sort of job. And what I realized is that the guy who hired me, it wasn't about my ability to sell books. as much as it was his ability to give me an opportunity to see things that I had never seen. To put me in a space where I was forced to bump up against my own assumptions, to bump up against my own walls, the things that I had never imagined. Now I'm in a space where all these books are around me. I'm meeting people who read books. I had never known anyone who read books. And so what I want to challenge you all is that as you run your incredible companies, as you hustle and work really hard to make the rent, I know it's difficult. Take a moment, look around, and think about whether or not you can reach out to some of those kids, the ones that are followed around the stores, the ones that everybody has something to say about. See if you can do some outreach to them. Right. Get them a job. You want to see something change in your community? Let's see if we can provide some jobs in a bookstore, an internship. It could be unpaid. Let somebody do some restocking for you, some alphabetical orders. Get one of those young kids who you know read a little bit to write you up a card about his or her recommendations. We need to figure out how to make sure that we're incorporating the kids, the ones that aren't always the comfortable ones, the ones that aren't always easy to get along with. Let's figure out how we can pull some of them in so that they can one day stand up and be like me, because I was that kid. Right. And you can figure that out, and I think we can take our jobs and our passions to the next level. My biggest fear in life, if I've gone through my career, my biggest fear is no longer failure. My biggest fear now is living my life with other people in it that I'm grateful for, knowing that I'm grateful. So please know that I'm so grateful for you. Thank you, thank you, thank you. I love you.